Today, we're taking a look at 10 things that every first-time BMW owner should know. As you can see, I have two at the moment. I've had some BMWs before, so I've learned a few tricks along the way. Some things that I've gotten used to, but people find strange or something they wouldn't expect when getting a BMW. I hope this video will prepare you for BMW ownership and some of the surprises that come with owning a European luxury car or a sports car. I hope none of these discourage you from getting a very nice car. However, you should know some of them before you get, a loan for $30,000-$40,000, and then all of a sudden you realize you weren't ready for what's to come. The most important feature, according to forums, YouTube comments, and everybody that doesn't have a BMW, is to learn how to use the blinker. I kid, of course, but a lot of people have made this comment on every single forum I've ever seen. So yes, the blinker's right here. Use it. To start with, buy a BMW you can actually afford. These are not cheap cars that are not cheap to maintain. So if you buy one of these, a 550 with a V8, twin turbos, a ton of electronics, it's going to be a lot more expensive to maintain than a Z4 that's a 28, which has an N20 engine, just a 4-cylinder with 1 turbo, tons of space to work underneath, so it's a lot easier to work on. You just gotta pick the one that is affordable, but not only affordable, but something you can pay for maintenance, pay for gas. This car gets about 15 miles to a gallon. This thing gets about 30. So, how much gas do you want to spend? Or how much money do you want to spend on gas? It all depends. Speaking of gas, you will have to use the most expensive gas your gas station carries, most likely. These cars require 91 octane minimum, and even at 91 octane, it can produce knock and certain undesirable features, so you do want to upgrade to 93 at least. My rule of thumb, basically get the most expensive gas that the gas station carries. If they have 98, perfect. Your car's gonna run like a dream. The way you can look up what your car actually needs is in the gas cap. Let me show you. On the Z4, open, a little dirty in here. So this car actually requires minimum octane rating of 89. The 550, minimum 89, recommended 91. Everywhere I read pretty much it says 91 is the minimum and maximum of 10% ethanol. Also, a handy trick while we're in here, when you open your cap, don't just let it dangle. It goes in here. Continuing with using premium products, forget about a $20, $30 oil change that doesn't exist on these cars. You're gonna have to use BMW high performance synthetic oil. Of course you can use other ones, but make sure that at least this specification. The cheapest oil change I've ever gotten that I didn't do myself was probably $120, and that was kind of a friendly deal. Even on this car, this is just a simple 4-banger. This will cost you at least 60-70 bucks just for an oil change. So that brings me to a point of learn how to do your own maintenance. If you want to own one of these cars and you don't have a ton of cash to spare, learn how to do your own maintenance. Even to do an oil change on this car, it's not gonna take you more than maybe 30-40 minutes. And you can get oil on Amazon for, I would say, $20 for 5 quarts. This takes, I believe, 8, so you're gonna need 2 of those, so under 50 bucks. For this car, only needs 5 quarts, so you can do it for under 20 bucks. Of course, you're gonna need to get a filter. Those are 5-10 bucks as well, so still a pretty good deal, at least half the price. Another point to make is that you cannot use, your local parts store parts for the car. You pretty much have to go with OEM or at least OEM equivalent. These cars really don't like anything that wasn't made for them, basically. If it's not made by Bosch or BMW, special electronics, you're just gonna give yourself more trouble than the time and money you're gonna save. So don't get aftermarket stuff that's cheap. And this is mostly the reason why these cars are so expensive to maintain, it's not even the labor cost, because you can find shops that will do the labor for pretty much equivalent to a normal car. However, the parts, they will be expensive. So that's something to think about. Are you ready to spend a little bit more on the parts and maybe do some of the labor yourself? That way you're gonna have an awesome car and not spend a ton on, fixing everything. And as far as reliability, this car has been really good to me. I've had it for 2.5 years, and in those 2.5 years, I've only had to change spark plugs, coils, have a video for that, filters, oil, just basic, maintenance stuff. One unfortunate thing that did happen to me is that my windshield cracked, but I don't think that has anything to do with the quality. I'm gonna have to get that replaced. So that's all the stuff that I've had to do to this car. Everything else has been just maintenance and stuff that I do for fun, like changing grills too. On the other hand, this car I bought completely broken. I had a knocking engine. I have videos of the knocking engine, of swapping the engine, and a bunch of other work I've done to this car. If you buy a broken car, you gotta expect to fix it. This doesn't necessarily prove that these cars are unreliable. However, this engine, the N20 engine, does have issues with timing chain, fuel pumps. The previous engine I had a knocking rod. So obviously not perfect, but these are high compression engines. This 2-liter engine makes over 250 horsepower and torques. So you can't expect them to run for 200,000 miles like you do a Toyota with a low compression, slow revving little four-banger. This car originally had 120,000 miles, so obviously the engine has been beat over the time. It is a sports car, or convertible, I guess, half a sports car, so people definitely drove it hard. As evident by how the clutch looked and a lot of other things in the car. One last thing on maintenance: don't listen to BMW intervals for warranty maintenance type of stuff. When they say change oil every 15,000 miles, when you get one of these, change your oil every 5,000 miles at least. It's not that expensive. You're never gonna spend, especially if you do it yourself, you're gonna spend $50 for this beast, and you have fresh oil in your car. Protect the engine, get rid of all those things that build up in the engine every 5,000 miles. If you don't drive it a lot, do it at least twice a year. You may also wonder, how would you figure out how to do some of the work yourself? There are plenty of forums and YouTube videos on how to do at least the basic maintenance very easily with step-by-step instructions. But also, the way I was able to replace the engine on this car was by following a TIS, so technical information, service manuals from BMW that are available online. Some of these may or may not have been provided by BMW, but if you look hard enough, you can definitely find those. And just ask questions. Go on Reddit, go on forums, ask people what they think about their car, what are some of the issues that they have. Look up YouTube videos. It's very important that you know what you're buying into. Like this car, if you were to buy a up until 2013, had huge issues with the engine where it would burn 2 quarts of oil every few thousand miles, and valve stabs and many other engine issues. Since 2014, these engines are almost bulletproof. So you definitely want to know this before you buy a 550. 1 year can make a huge difference on your maintenance cost, yet you only spend a couple $1,000s more and have a newer car. If you ever pay close attention to wheels on the car, you'll see that a lot of BMWs have a lot of brake dust. One right there, and even the 550 has quite some brake dust, as you can see. There is a reason for this. It's not that BMW drivers are lazy and they don't clean their cars. It has to do with the compound that they use in the brake pads. The brakes are really good on these cars, and the reason for that is because they use soft compound that kind of wears out a little bit quicker, but it provides better braking power for you. So you can, upgrade to Akebono brake pads or something like that. They usually leave a lot less brake dust and still provide a pretty decent braking performance on these cars. These cars do have brake sensors on the brake pads, so you'll know, your computer will tell you when it's time to change. And those sensors are only $15, so if you're worried that, another sensor to replace, it's $12 to $15 to buy when you're doing a brake job. Also, as a potential BMW buyer, you may not be aware, but most of the things that you find on even standard cars, Hondas and Toyotas, those features may be optional on BMWs. Yes, it's crazy, but a lot of the time it's truth. So this is a 2013 car that basically doesn't have any options at all. Well, it does have comfort access, but there is no screen, nothing. Simple radio, manual transmission. There's no, heads-up display or auto-dimming lights or, whatever, cruise control. I mean, it has cruise control, but not the advanced cruise controls. Most of the stuff is optional in this car. So you go from a bare bones, a sports car to one of these that has every single options available, starting from, self-closing doors, where it pulls the door in, or things like the trunk, where you can just kick under the trunk and open the trunk. Automatic closing as well. And then you get inside. You start the car. It's a little hard to see on camera, but it has heads-up display and a navigation system. Of course, heated seats, air conditioning with 4 zones, one for the back as well. This car also has, sport seats where you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. Move just the top and bottom without moving the whole seat. I mean, just about everything. It even has a premium sound system in the car. Your steering wheel moves any way you want, up, down, left, right, as well as it's being heated. Really useful in the winter. It has auto hold features, sensors and cameras, and even a launch control, so you can launch the car, at a track or a drag strip. All these options are pretty much extra or part of a package on a lot of BMWs, especially if you look at slightly older ones. Of course, if you get a 2019, 2020 BMW, it's gonna include most of this stuff. However, if you're looking at a 3, 4, 5-year-old BMW, check for options. A lot of the stuff just may not be there because the guy didn't check when he bought it brand new. And there's definitely so many unique features to this car that I just can't think of, or I'm so used to them that I don't really think of them as very unique features. However, there are a few features that carry out through pretty much every BMW I've ever had. First one being the auto dip mirror whenever you're backing up. Let me show you how that works. So as you can see, I'm pointing at the mirror. I'm gonna put the car in reverse, and the mirror moves down to show you the curb or whatever you're about to run over. So let's see if the same thing is true for the Z4. Put it in reverse and the mirror moves down. Another cool feature that most BMWs have is the ability to lower all of the windows by just using the remote. All you do is press and hold the unlock button and all the windows roll down. It works just the same on the 550. Press and hold the unlock button, and everything starts to roll down and open up. One extra feature on the Z4 is that you can put the roof up just using the key. And it will even put the glass up, which is not available on most BMWs in the US. European cars can raise the windows on pretty much any BMW. Something else that will happen once you have a BMW that may not be something you expect is you'll have kids, especially if you have something like this, like a convertible. You have a kid at the gas station, they'll go, "Oh my God, nice car, Daddy, look at this car," stuff like that, which is super cute. And even adults will come up sometimes and go, "Nice car, man." Then it's honestly kind of awkward because you don't really know how to answer this. Like, what are you supposed to say? Just say thanks, and then they kind of stare at you. So, yeah, you know, something to think about. The attention, however, is not always positive. I have had cops stop me a couple times going 3-4 miles over the speed limit, and you know they'll stop and say something like, "Oh, you young guys in your fast cars," or something like that. You know, like you can't really say anything back. And with a car like this, you know, big V8 with twin turbos, you're gonna want to get in trouble. You want to go fast. You want to, you know, how fast can you accelerate? How fast can you take a corner? Even though this is a, you know, 4,500-pound car, it's still fun. So something to think about and consider. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something about BMWs. If you're new to these cars, like and subscribe if you like this type of content. I'm sure to be making more. Now guys, we'll see you in the next one. So many planes.